Hello friends, today we are moving on to comparing fractions and this is lesson number 6. Our comparing fractions number is 4.3D, just in case you wanted to know that. And what you will be doing today, your goal is to compare and represent fractions using the symbols greater than and less than. But now let me ask you, why do we have to compare fractions? What's the purpose behind it? What do you think? Will you take just a few seconds to stop the video and jot down some reasons, reasons why comparing fractions is important and why we do it? Then press play. Okay, so what did you come up with? Why do we compare fractions? What's its purpose? Well, we compare fractions so that we know and we can figure out the different sizes of the fractions that we have in front of us, be it shoes that we're comparing, shoe sizes, or portions of food that we want to compare, or even measurements whenever you are baking and using a measuring cup or the little measuring spoons. We compare fractions to figure out which fraction is greater and which fraction is less than the other one. So that's why we compare fractions. Did you come up with different ideas? All right, so that was wonderful. There is a purpose for us to compare our fractions, especially when you have 2 or 3 fractions that you're comparing. I'd like to start our number talk with talking about the half. I like the half because I know the half. But before I can talk about the half, I need to understand that it comes from a whole. One whole is, I always compare it to the equivalent of $1. It's one whole dollar. It's one whole piece of candy bar. It's one whole super sandwich. But if I'm comparing it to a half, then I would be cutting it right down the middle to have 2 pieces that are the same portion, that are the same size. Now my question is, what other fractions equal to a half? Well, let me give you an example. If I was wanting to equal a half, I could do 2/4. I could take that 1/2 and cut it in half again, and I would get 2/4. These numbers are equal to a half. So I've got 1/2. That's also equal to 2/4. So what do you think? What other fractions are equal to a half? That's going to be my question to you. So will you pause the video right now and jot down some fractions that you're pretty sure of that equal to 1/2? Okay, so what did you come up with? How about the 1/6? How many 6s does it take to make a half? 1/6 plus 2/6 plus 3/6 equals 3/6. So that's another half. How do I know that? I know that because 3 is half of 6 and 2 is half of 4. That is equal to 1/2. Did you come up with another one? Let me take these out of the way. What about the 8s? How many 8s would equal a half? I want you to think about that while I'm putting these fraction tiles in place. And let me compare them. It looks like it's the same amount, different number of portions, but it still looks like it's got the same value as a half. This one whole is just here for me to know that I'm comparing it all from the one whole. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8 is equal to a half as well. All right, so did you come up with another one? And have you noticed any patterns? Whenever we do fractions or math, we want to look at patterns. Okay, did anyone try the 1/10? How many tenths equal to a half? Well, ask yourself, what's half of 10? If I had a long, beautiful cake that was the shape of a rectangle or a rectangular prism, and I cut it up into 10 slices, how many of that would be half? Let me look at my two pictorials. This is a half. This seems to be the same amount. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10. So here I see that 5/10 is also equal to a half. Whoopsie, this should be an 8. Why didn't you tell me? Guys, you gotta help me. Sometimes this pen doesn't work very well. Another half. I'm really good at my halves and I try to practice them whenever I have nothing else to do or I'm riding in the car. I come up with all of my halves and I say 1/2, 2/4, 3/6, 4/8, 5/10, 6/12. And what would you think the denominator would be for the 7 if it was the numerator? It would be 7 what? Yeah, 7/14. And it goes on from there. So this is our number talk on halves. Okay, friends, I have a word problem for you, a problem for you to solve. And this is our task A. And the question is about what the boys ate and what the girls ate. Let's make believe that this was a rectangular prism-shaped cake and the whole cake looked like this. It's a one whole cake. I want to make sure that my brain realizes that because I don't want to have different sizes of cakes when I buy them. It has to be the same size cake that I'm going to divide into separate portions. And let's say that here, the boys had their pizza, their cake, and they ate so much of it. And then the girls had their cake, and they also ate so much of it, okay? We're going to say that the boys ate 6/8 of the pizza. So I'm going to take my 8s and I'm going to put 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8, 6/8, okay? They ate 6/8 of the pizza. That's how much they ate. And it was 6/8. All right, so now the girls ate 4/8 of the pizza. So here we go. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and 4/8. And I'm going to write that down so that my brain remembers it. The girls ate 4/8 of the pizza, I'm sorry, I keep saying pizza. 4/8 of the cake, okay? You know, I am so lucky today that my denominators, the numbers that go on the bottom, are the same. I have an 8 as a denominator and an 8 as a denominator. That means that I will be dividing the fractions into 8 pieces for the boys and for the girls. So that makes it a little bit easier for me. Looking at this information, what do you think? If the pink portion or the shaded portion equals the amount of cake that the boys and girls ate. So I'll give you a second. You may pause this video and write down a sentence telling me who ate the most pizza, the most cake, and who ate the least amount of cake. So pause it and then come back and join me. All right, so what did you come up with? Yes, you're right. 6/8 is greater than 4/8 because 6 parts of 8 is more than 4 parts of the 8. So who ate the least? The girls ate the least amount of cake. So I can write down that 4/8 is less than 6/8. And I can also say that the boys with 6/8 ate the greater amount of pizza than the girls did. And again, I am so lucky today that my denominators are the same. Otherwise, I would have to find a common denominator. And that's for another lesson. I'm going to put 1 point facing the 4/8 because that's less than 6/8, and 6/8 is going to get 2 points because it's the greater number. So right here again, the greater number is 6/8. It gets 2 points. And the 4/8 gets 1 point because it's less than 6/8. And that is how I would compare my two numbers if I'm lucky and the denominators are the same, like in this case. All right, friends, so now I want to do some comparisons, but in a different virtual manipulatives page, just to show you that there are so many pages out there on the web where you can use fraction tiles, you can use fraction circles, fraction bars. So this is a different looking one, and it's a little confusing, but I don't want you to get confused. What I do want you to focus on is the numerator and the denominator that you're going to be moving. You're going to be also looking at the top fraction, the top row, and then the second row. So let's start with the first row because we are going to do some comparisons, which is going to be your work. We're going to compare 2/3 and 1/3. That is going to be our job right now. And again, hallelujah, our denominators are the same. So here we go. This is how you do it. These are the directions. I want thirds, and I want 2 of them for my first fraction, 2/3. Then I click on the second row. I also want thirds again, and I want 1 to be my numerator. Okay, so just to help you out and look at these two fractions, what can you tell about these two fractions? Because I want you to tell me if I was to put a symbol here ahead of time, I want you to tell me if it's true or if it's false. It's either going to be the truth or it's going to be a lie. So what do you think? 2/3 and 1/3. True or false? 2/3 is greater than 1/3. Pause the video and write down your answer. Just write down true for T for true or F for false. Once you're ready, press play. So what'd you come up, friends? What do you think? Yes, 2/3 is greater than 1/3. So this one's going to be true. I'll put a T right here for true. They told us that they gave us the right answer. I know this because if this was one whole, 2 sections has a greater value than 1 section. So that's how that's going to go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do a different one for you. How about this one? I want you to help me out with this, friends. Remember, we have to start over again with the top one. So the next one's going to be 6/8. Let me write it down for you. And this one's going to say that 6/8 is less than 7/8. All right. That is what they're telling us. So I'm going to put 2 dots facing the 7/8, 1 dot facing the 6/8. We're going to see if this is true or false. Here I go. Okay, first one. So 8s. I'm working with 8s on my denominator, so I go all the way up to 8. I'm working with a 6 in my numerator, so I head on down to the 6. For the second fraction, I'm still working with 8. But it's going to change to 7/8 up here. Now I'm going to cover up part of it so that you only see the fractions that we're working on right there. So what do you think? True or lie? True or false? Is 6/8 less than 7/8? Pause it and write down your answer in a complete sentence. Then press play. Okay, now that we're back, what do you think? Is it true or false that 6 of these sections is less than 7 of these sections? Yes, you're right. This is also true. I know that it's true because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eighths is less than my 7 eighths that I have on this row of fractions for my whole. So that one was true as well. Okay, could you do one more by yourself? Let's see if you could do this one on your own, and then we'll move on. Just to be clear about the directions, because I want you to use this whenever you do your work. You've got to click on the first row, and the next fractions that we're using are going to be 4 out of 12, or 12s. And we're going to say that 4 12s is greater than 6 12s. Oh, I'm really good at halves, and I can already tell that there is a half here. Can you tell which one of these two fractions is equal to a half? You're going to tell me in a few minutes. Let me get started setting this up. So I've got to move my denominator to 12, my numerator to 4, click on the second fraction, denominator goes to 12, and the numerator goes to 6. I cover up what I don't need. I just want to look what I'm working with. It tells me that 4 12s is greater than 6 12s. Here are the two fractions. Please press pause and write in your journal, your math journal, telling whether this is correct, whether it's true, or whether it's false, and tell me why you know it's false, why you know it's true. So pause it now and then press play when you're ready. Okay, friends, so we're back. So what did you write? Did you say that this was true, or did you say that this comparison was false? Yes, this comparison is false. It is a lie. It is a lie because if I look at the 4 12s and this whole section was my whole, there's only 4 pieces of it. But if I look at this fraction that has 6 of them shaded in out of my 12, I see that it has a greater value, 2 more sections than the top one. So that's why it's false. It should say the opposite, that 4 12s is less than 6 12s. And that is how I'm going to use this particular virtual manipulatives for the fraction tiles, and I hope that you get to use them too. I want to keep looking at this one just for a sec because I want to fix it. I want to erase the sign here and make it true. And to make it true, I have to say that 4 12s only gets 1 dot because it's less than 6 12s, which gets 2 dots. And that's how I see it whenever I try to picture it in my brain. Now, I'd like to ask you a question. How does a denominator in a fraction help you compare fractions? The denominator is the number of total pieces from the whole, in this case 12, and the numerator is the amount of shaded pieces or the amount of pieces that were not shaded, and that number goes above the fraction line. So my 4 is the numerator, my 12, both of these are the denominators. My 6 is also a numerator. How does the denominator, the 12 in this case, help me compare fractions? Will you please press pause and write down an answer to that question in a complete sentence? When you're ready, please press play and return. How does the denominator, the 12, in a fraction help you compare the two fractions? All right, thanks for coming back, friends. Now, what did you come up with? Tell me what your sentence was. Well, I noticed that if the denominators are the same, I'm lucky. I'm lucky because it's going to be 2 fractions that come from the same whole that are divided and separated into the same pieces, the same portions. So one of my wholes was divided into 12 sections, and so was my other one. That makes it very easy because I just look at the numerator, the top number, to compare them to see which one's greater than, which one's less than. Now, if the numbers on the bottom of the fraction bar, the denominators are different, that's a whole different story. And you're going to have to find a common denominator before you can compare them. So the activity that you're going to turn in today is going to be the cool down, where you have to type your answer to a question about fractions and comparing them. You're going to tell what you've learned, but I don't want you to forget to play our little fractions concentration game as well, because it's pretty fun. All you do, it's very simple, but you have to know how to identify a pictorial fraction, and you have to match it with the numerical, the number fraction. So please play this game again for a few minutes just to have fun. Play it once or twice, but just play it with one player, and I know you're going to do great. So this is comparing fractions, our first lesson. Have a great day, Tigers. And remember, you're turning in one assignment. You are turning in the cool down. Oh, I almost forgot one thing. There's one other little assignment that you have to turn in. And you can play this game before you do it. And it's the lesson 6 activity. When you do this activity, this is similar to the one that we did a few minutes ago, where you were to tell if the statement, the comparison statement, was true or false, and you had to tell why. There are 6 questions, and I'd like for you to do them. I'd like for you to turn this into your teacher as well. So forgive me, there are 2 things you're going to turn in, but I guarantee you that if you use the fraction bars here, or the ones you may have at home, you are going to be able to compare these easily, write the answer down, and turn it in. So correction, you will turn in 2 assignments today. This lesson 6, comparing fractions, and the cool down for today. And that is the assignment, for the completed assignment for today. So again, one more time, good luck with what you're doing, comparing fractions, and have a great day, Tigers.